You say point of order?
Call.
Oh, no, sorry, 5-minute call on behalf of the National
Thank you, Mr.
Party.
Speaker. New Zealand is in great shape, and Bill English delivered another great budget, his 8th. You see, look at New Zealanders. New Zealanders are achievers. They go out, they greet the world, they compete with the world, they win. And back home, they know they've got a government, a national-led government, that backs them all the way, that supports their aspirations, that puts the frameworks in place that mean they can go and compete offshore. I know Mr. Goff supports that. Shame none of us, the rest of his caucus do. To support them competing in the world, a national government that backs Kiwis and Kiwi kids to be successful, that puts an education system around them. It's about each one of them achieving their potential. Mr. Speaker, another great budget from Bill English. What's this budget telling us that New Zealand's future is? New Zealand's future is bright. 2.8% growth over the next 4 years on average. That's going to be right up there with the very best countries in the OECD. A further 170,000 jobs, Mr. Speaker, average wages climbing to $63,000. A great result, a great set of figures by any comparison with the developed world. You know, Kiwis embrace these figures. They like the way New Zealand's travelling. It didn't actually come as too much of a surprise to hear that in the budget, though. Why? Because they look at the record of this national government, and what have we seen? Well, 200,000 jobs over the past 3 years, and an $11,000 increase in the average wage since the national government has been in office. Mr. Speaker, this is a government that understands what's important for Kiwis, and it's a government that continues to focus on delivering those. And let's just look back and actually remind ourselves, what are the things that matter for Kiwis and their families? It's a growing economy, one that's delivering more jobs and higher incomes. It's a government that is focused on delivering good education so that your children are going to be ready for the future that awaits them, one where you feel safer in your communities, and one where you know that should you get sick, you've got a great healthcare system that's going to help you to return to health as soon as possible. And Kiwis know, Mr. Speaker, that that is what this national government is delivering for them. Mr. Speaker, I came to this Parliament with a 20-year career in the ICT industry, and I am delighted to see a continued investment and innovation from this government. $761 million in this budget. $761 million in helping to continue to diversify our economy, to focus on adding value to our traditional core strengths in the primary sector, but also supporting those burgeoning industries, including the ICT industry, but also our creative industries that are very strong and growing here in Wellington, our capital. Mr. Speaker, when we do this, when we look to support innovation, unlike some that would choose winners, we know that New Zealanders can be successful across sectors. So we invest money, for instance, in research, $63 million into strategic science research. Research, for instance, that will look into the likes of freshwater management and research. These areas, we look at this will help us to deliver our primary sector strength with a smaller environmental footprint. But we look at what the opposition say in these areas. All they want to do is shrink what we do, to cull the dairy herd and to do less of what we do so well. This is a government, Mr. Speaker, that's very balanced in its approach. It's a government that supports our traditional sectors while also adding support to the newer ones. And I look at Oharu, the electorate that I'm based in, and I see, for instance, Taylor Preston Meatworks, Mr. Speaker, they export everything they produce. $250 million worth of export receipts into the Wellington economy every year. At the height of the season, they employ 700 people. They are a very, very important business in Wellington, making and creating value locally from a traditional core strength of New Zealand. And then on the other side, in fact, almost across the road, just down the road, you have a company like 4RF, who work in telecommunications, a company that does research and innovation, a company that creates new technologies, and it also exports them around the world, a company that, for instance, has made use of our growth grant programs through the Callaghan Institute. And there we have a great example, even in Oharu, Mr. Speaker, of a government that's balanced in its approach, supports what Kiwis do so well, and supports growth in new and more value-add, intellectual property-based areas which are a big part of our future. And it's that sort of balanced and pragmatic approach, Mr Speaker, that has the New Zealand public continuing to support John Key and continuing to support this National-led government. It was a great budget, Mr Speaker, and I look forward to more.
Mr Speaker.